And Rosita Shorita is she's a former Lithuanian. Well, she is a Lithuanian, but she was a former Lithuanian diplomat, right? And now she is working with different human rights groups in Europe and focusing on new religions again, as I said. Thank you.
Thank you.
This starts with who starts big test, yeah.
Okay, so Sorita's paper is on anti-cultism. She has, what's it called? Article and the Rise of New Age Anti-Cultism. New Age Anti-Cultism, what's that?
You will see. So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for those who are very patient and stay till the end. So, in July 2025, many members of the Ahmadi religion of peace and light became aware of an organized anti-cult movement when several British media outlets, starting with the Guardian, launched attack against them. The campaign employed the typical arguments used to criticize groups labeled as cults. We usually do cults like this. The origin of these attacks can be traced back to a slanderous article written by a certain B. Schofield on her blog Guru Mag. Scholars of new religious movements have studied the anti-cult movement for decades. Researchers describe it as comprising two distinct subgroups. Massimo Introvigne referred to the first of these in a well-known 1993 article as the counter-cult movement, which is driven by religious groups that feel threatened by the competition posed by the new arrivals in the competitive religious market. These groups often label the new movements as illegitimate, heretical, or even demonic. In some countries, religious counter-cultists can mobilize the government against the groups they label as cults. In Iran, the anti-cult movement is intertwined with the theocratic government. Countries like Pakistan and Malaysia have official Islamic councils that identify which groups they consider heretical cults. And these designations often lead to governmental repression. In Israel, as documented by Willy Fautré, Jewish ultra-Orthodox anti-cultism can influence governments that rely on support from religious parties. Although Russia is theoretically a secular state, the Putin regime seeks the support of the Russian Orthodox Church, which plays a significant role in establishing a unified consensus. In return for this support, the regime takes action against groups like the Jehovah's Witnesses, which the Russian Orthodox Church condemns as sheep stealers and cults. In South Korea, the anti-cult movement is primarily organized by Protestant fundamentalists. Despite not representing the majority of the population, they can exert considerable influence over political parties, elections, and government actions by voting together as a bloc. The second subgroup of the anti-cult movement is secular. It emerged from left-wing activists and intellectuals concerned about the rise of conservative from parents of students who in the late 20th century decided to leave college and to become full-time missionaries, monks, or nuns for new religious movements. These parents, who were often non-religious, were less concerned about the theological orthodoxy of these new movements. Their primary concern was to get their children back, and they listened intently to psychologists who claimed that their children had been brainwashed. Some of the fathers of the anti-cult movements, particularly in secular France, admitted they were against all religions and used cults as a starting point for a broader anti-religious campaign. Roger Icor The founder of the French anti-cult organization CCMM stated, and I quote, there isn't been between a cult and a religion a difference of nature, or rather of principle. There is only a difference of degree and dimensions. If it were up to us, we would put an end to all this nonsense, that of cults, but also that of large religions, end of quote. He also referenced Muhammad, Christ, and Moses as predecessors of today's cult leaders. In a book published this year, one of the international anti-cult movement's leading ideologists, Canadian sociologist Stephen Kent, argues that together with cult leaders, figures such as the biblical prophet Ezekiel, Paul the apostle, and Muhammad were all either schizophrenic or epileptic. More broadly, Kent insists that, I quote, there is clinical reason to assume that people who believe that they are having extraterrestrial contact may be demonstrating a symptom of schizophrenia, end of quote. As for people, again, people who maintain that non-material spirit and forces do exist and offers prayers for divine intercession, the fact that they harbor magical beliefs indicate that they may suffer from mental disorders. A good number of religions, including the largest ones, were founded by mentally disordered minds, he concludes. China is home to the largest anti-cult organization in the world, the China Anti-Sejao Association, which is promoted and controlled by the Chinese Communist Party through the United Front. Most of its leaders are strong advocates of scientific atheism and Marxist dialectical materialism, and they maintain a hostile stance toward all religions. The sectarian counter-cult movement and the secular anti-cult movement are distinct but interconnected. Their ideologies differ, and there is always a risk that secular anti-cultists may target the religious organizations of counter-cultists. Nevertheless, operating under the principle that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, these groups have found ways to collaborate. In Japan and South Korea, we have witnessed a troubling alliance between fundamentalist and theoretically anti-communist Christian pastors who also act as deprogrammers, left-wing activists and lawyers, and even Chinese intelligence services as established by court rulings. Similarly, in Israel, ultra-Orthodox Jews readily cooperate with atheist anti-religious organizations to denounce cults and advocate for laws against them. FACRIS, the umbrella organization founded by French taxpayers that coordinates anti-cult movements across Europe and beyond, includes both deeply secular movements, such as the one founded by ICOR, and until 2023, when it was forced to exclude it due to the Ukrainian war, the anti-cult agency of the Russian Orthodox Church, whose leaders are employed of the Moscow Patriarchate. Furthermore, books written by Western secular anti-cultists are translated into Farsi and used by Ayatollah regime in Iran against cults. The recent assault on the Aeroplane has uncovered the presence of a relatively new third player that warrants attention. I will refer to it as a New Age anti-cultism. This movement does not oppose so-called cults in the name of secular humanism or mainstream religion. Instead, it critiques cultic beliefs based on a confusing blend of astrology, energy theories, and popular esotericism. Although other instances exist, I will examine two examples pertinent to the Aeroplane. Additionally, I will explore whether New Age anti-cultism will be recognized as the legitimate component of the global anti-cult movement and whether it will benefit from the efforts of its coordinating agencies.